live from our studios here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. Hello, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Also live on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. I am Noble Crosby, and coming up this afternoon, former Maslock CEO Sedinat Tamaklo Ationu extradited from the United States to Ghana to begin her 10-year jail sentence following her conviction for financial crimes. We have the details in the bulletin also. Patients bear the brunt as ongoing strike by medical personnel at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital bites hard. Plus, University Teachers Association of Ghana serve notice to commence strike on June 12 for delays in payment of book and research allowance. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's start the afternoon from here. And former Chief Executive Officer of the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, Maslock, Sedinat Tamaklo Ationu, has been extradited to Ghana from the United States to begin serving a 10-year prison sentence imposed by the Accra High Court. Her extradition follows an order by a U.S. District Court in April this year, after she was convicted in absentia by the Accra High Court on charges of stealing and causing financial loss to the state. Sedinat Tamaklo left Ghana in 2021 after obtaining permission from the court to seek medical treatment in the United States, but failed to return to continue standing trial. She arrived at the Kotoka International Airport on Tuesday, June 9, aboard United Airlines flight UA 996 from Washington International Airport, where she was received by Ghanaian authorities to begin serving her sentence. My colleague Christabel Sasa-Streva is joining us because the United States Embassy in Ghana has just issued a statement confirming her extradition of the former Maslock boss to Ghana. Christabel has a copy of the statement. What does the statement say, Christabel?
Thank you very much, Crosby. And like you rightly said, the U.S. Embassy in Ghana here made this post on their social media platform. And I'm going to be reading that out. It starts and it says, "Justice has no borders." Now, the United States has extradited Sedinat Tamaklo Ationu to Ghana following her conviction on 70-plus corruption-related charges, including embezzling more than $6 million equivalent in Ghanaian taxpayer funds. This is a strong U.S.-Ghana law enforcement partnership in action, demonstrating a shared commitment to accountability and the first extradition from the United States to Ghana since 2009. So this is what the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana is saying. We have the Minister for Government Communications also releasing another statement on his social media platform, and I'm going to be reading that. It also gives us more details to this extradition, Crosby. It says that in April 2024, the High Court convicted and sentenced Sedinat Tamaklo Ationu in absentia. In July 2024, the government of Ghana submitted an extradition request to the United States for her surrender to Ghana and serve her sentence. It goes on to say that after over 2 years of court proceedings, the United States authorities notified the government of her surrender in January this year, Crosby. And he goes on to tell us that she arrived in Accra today, June 9, 2026, which is today. And it says that officials of the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Prisons Service have already taken her into custody and are making necessary preparations for them to begin her sentence. It says that meanwhile, the Attorney General is scheduled to meet with his counterparts at the United States Department of Justice for a bilateral discussion on all pending extradition requests between the two countries, that's Ghana and the United States. So these are the details we have so far on the extradition of Sedinat Tamaklo Ationu.
Christabel, thank you so much. Christabel Sesestrev updating us on the statements from the United States Embassy as well as Minister for Government Communications Felix Kwatiofor-Suvi on some timelines of the case. Let's have a conversation on this and speak with Christian Malm-Hesse. He's a private legal practitioner. Counsel, good afternoon to you. Now that Madame Tamaklo has arrived in the country or has been extradited, what follows? Hello, Counsel, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's way better.
Great. What I'm asking is, we now know that Madame Sedina Tamaklo has arrived in the country and processes are ongoing to begin her sentence. But now that she has been extradited into the country, what follows next?
Okay, even though your voice, it has gone back to that statement. But what I hazard you asking is, what happens to her now that she's in the country?
Exactly, Counsel.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners. Basically, she will not just walk straight to a standard or a medium prison, but she'll be processed and she'll be picked up by the security operatives, and she'll be put before the court. She'll be informed of the reason why she was extradited, even though it is assumed that she knows of it, and that a court in the U.S. committed her to it and for her to be brought down. But it will be brought to her attention, and if she has any reason to raise any legal issues to any legal anomaly in terms of procedure, in terms of anything, her counsel would raise it in court. So basically, the extradition execution will be made known to her. Now, it is for her legal counsel to identify whatever lapses that existed, and where there is a failure of that, or they are amenable to whatever trial by absentia and decision of the court waited on her, then the execution of that decision will be meted out to her, and should be, the administrative process would also commence at the registry for her onward transportation to the prison.
So
we should go through some legal processes before she is headed to the prison.
I see, but it is still possible for her lawyers to intervene legally in a way to either stall or delay it from happening.
Oh yes, I mean, fair trial is everything, and under Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution, 19(2)(f) of the 1992 Constitution, fair trial is everything, and the court will strictly adhere to that in order to ensure the balance of rights, such that her rights ought not be suffered or injured, but that it is upheld, and because that's the scrutiny of the law. And in upholding that, whatever right of requisition or in any direction of that sort that her lawyers would want to scrutinize, bring to the attention of the court, either to her conviction and sentencing, they are at liberty to bring it, and if it meets the test of law, it will be upheld. If not, after that, the registrar will be directed to process, and the prison's authorities will pick her up. The direction of the court to any prison thereof required to hold her for sentencing.
I see. And finally, could she face any form of a stiffer punishment for, if you like, absconding despite being handed the 10 years?
Oh, I mean, her conviction and sentencing is intact. There will be nothing of that sort. It is every reason why we have the laws for extradition. So, while she was away, the most important thing required is whether or not it was brought to her attention, and the record of proceedings will be scrutinized to point out whether or not it was brought to her attention, was served on her for the extradition process, and for the trial in absentia to take place in accordance with the laws of Ghana, and if all those things were executed to proceed there, there will be nothing to visit on her about why she didn't come down to Ghana. The purpose of why she didn't come to Ghana is the reason that we have extradition laws, which the legal assistance and all that act has caused the U.S. With the combined effect of the extradition laws to cause them to bring her down here. So that deals with it. The sentence is intact, and there will not be a variation of that. There will only be a variation of that where her lawyers are able to point out to any lapses in the procedures, and they would want that to be challenged, whether by review or by appeal.
Counsel, I'm grateful for your time with us in the program.
Thank you for having me.
Christian Malmhesi is a private legal practitioner speaking with us there. This is a subject that we'll be keeping an eye on, and in our subsequent bulletins we'll bring you details. To some other stories, and patients seeking medical attention at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital are bearing the brunt of an ongoing protest by doctors and nurses over the suspension of the hospital's chief executive officer. Hundreds of patients have been left waiting for hours, while others have been forced to postpone medical appointments as healthcare workers reportedly declined to attend to new cases at the hospital's outpatient department. The industrial action follows the Ministry of Health's decision to suspend the hospital's CEO to pave the way for investigations into the temporary closure of the hospital's accident and emergency center. While the ministry has appealed to staff to return to work, services remain affected, leaving patients and their families uncertain about when normal operations will resume. We'll be joined by our correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who updates us on what will be happening and what the current situation is there at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital in the Ashanti region, where we understand that patients seeking medical attention at the hospital are bearing the brunt of an ongoing protest by doctors and nurses over the suspension of the hospital's chief executive officer. Now, this is still midday news on 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. Let's take a listen to some of the patients as they narrated to us the ordeal they have to go through as a result of the strike action.
Aman says out. Bibedra Udiania. Bibia Yaka. The quiet befaso ebehwe no mpa ye na me bose. Ya me bedum ya ubetimi aboa me aye. The mesel no anu. Me nko ba bia ha na da bia me ba. Edimetra na kura me da ne. Kopin bra wo mbe bansa na mama ya hwe me. Ene na nka ese ye hwe me. Ene nso ba e no bia ni aye 9 June na nka ye hwe me enso so ene e ba ye obi ani ami minim se wo mu kosa ka memba
e ba ye no ye hu nurse mponi ye hu doctors o mo dan nyina ya tutum e bia no no ma wo fa wo hu obi a ye dro so ta ma so se doctors hwe ye no mo ma ye dro ni bedru ha kra che ma boto kra san kra ma me pressure foforo bisa me hwe ye kra ye hu odin kakra yi kra na ye mfi ye na o hwe wo ma agency ni ade a abanu hu ya mobo na de wo mo ne doctors ni ntem bia o ntimi so wo mfiri ho no mo na fa sundue mra no ntimi mehwe ye nso so ayare for na ye bre.
The voices of some patients there at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. My colleague Ibrahim Abubakar is joining us right now. Ibrahim, good afternoon to you. The situation is dire. We've heard some patients and they're talking about how unfortunate it is for them. But tell us, at the moment, how many departments have been affected by the strike?
Well, so across the most of the department, because you see, we do know that it's only the nurses and the doctors who are on strike. But when you come to the hospital, the first group of professionals of healthcare, professionals, to attend to you are the nurses. And for that matter, if they are not there, it means in the first place, you are not getting any service. Then they can send you to the consulting room where the doctors are also expected to attend to you, and they are also not working. So clearly, aside those who are coming to maybe to pick their medication from pharmacy, or those who are coming for lab services, and the other departments are also not working. But one thing I observed is that if the situation is critical, there are doctors who are standby to attend to you. But then those who come to the general OPD and other places are just asked to go away. And clearly, from what you heard from the patient, the strike is taking a heavy toll with far-reaching consequences for healthcare delivery and patient care. And the first man who spoke, he came far away from Manson Crime. It's within the Ashanti region, but it's almost 4-hour journey from that community to Kompanochi. And he came this morning and was told that the doctors are on strike. So when we even asked him when next after this, he said he has no option. He will have to sleep there until the doctors resume their services, because he can't go back to his community. He is not alone. So many people are also facing the same situation here. So I can tell you that the strike is biting hard, and patients are struggling. They are bearing the brunt of everything that is happening. But they are just remaining hopeful that some kind of swift resolution will be reached to restore full services here at the Kompanochi Teaching Hospital. Mind you, Kompanochi is not only serving the people of Ashanti region alone, but 10 other regions. So you can imagine the impact of the strike. We are here. We know that the doctors are still in a meeting. We do know that we don't know whether after the meeting we will be hearing of any positive news, or the strike will continue as it is.
And it brings me to my last question to you, Ibrahim. There's been a stalemate despite previous attempts to broker a deal. What can you report in that regard?
Well, the doctors say they have tabled their concerns. They want clear timelines when Sewia and Afari hospitals will be completed. And they also want the reinstatement of the suspended CEO. In fact, the CEO, I even met him this morning. He came around. He is even still pleading with the doctors to resume their services. Yesterday, he issued a directive. This morning, he also met them to tell them to continue with their work whilst they speak to the health ministry and also engage with top management. So, like I said, they are in a meeting, and we are just hoping that a positive outcome will come from this whole engagement.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for speaking to us from the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, a member of the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Titus Bayo, has appealed to the health workers to call off their strike.
What has happened is a very regrettable, unfortunate incident. And I say it's regrettable because you can see an unintended consequence of the strike action. When I get there, I'll explain it. But I'll summarize everything that has happened as one of a communication gap that led to lack of understanding, which he has alluded to. And this lack of understanding led to either side of the divide interpreting the intentions and motives of the other one wrongly. I'm making this with several years of experience as a union leader myself and knowing what they feel, and as somebody who has worked in the emergency setting, but also having the additional understanding as someone who sits on the board of the Ministry of Health and also chairs a teaching hospital board like this, like Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And what do I mean by communication gap? If you look at it and the misunderstanding that has resulted from it, the doctors took what I would call a good clinical decision. The management, all those who were gathered there, took a good clinical decision. And he has explained everything that went into that decision. And at some point, if you permit me, I'll give you excerpts of minutes of the meeting they held. And they did ensure that there was continuity of care and no patient was harmed.
That's the voice of a member of the Health Committee of Parliament, Dr. Titus Bayo, speaking there. To some other stories this afternoon, and public universities across Ghana, they could be heading towards another industrial showdown as the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, threatening to withdraw its services by June 12 if government fails to address two key demands. The association says it will embark on a nationwide strike if authorities do not release the dollar exchange rate required to process this year's book and research allowance. A benefit lecturers say is critical to supporting their teaching, research and publication work. UTAG is also demanding that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission conclude negotiations and sign a memorandum of understanding on the conditions of service for university teachers by the same deadline. The latest ultimatum follows years of tension between the association and government over delays in the payment of the book and research allowance and prolonged negotiations on conditions of service. We'll be speaking with Dr. Samuel Segla, the National Secretary of UTAG, in a moment. But in the meantime, President John Dramani Mahama has disclosed a major procurement arrangement with Belarus for the supply of 1,840 pieces of agricultural equipment. Addressing the first ever Belarus-Ghana Business Forum in Minsk, the president described the deal as a practical example of deepening economic ties between the two nations and called on the private sectors of both countries to move beyond diplomatic cordiality and forge lasting commercial partnerships.
Agriculture represents perhaps the greatest immediate opportunity for collaboration between our two countries. Belarus has earned a global reputation for excellence in production of agricultural machinery and equipment, fertilizer production, and agro-industrial systems. Ghana is currently undertaking one of the most ambitious agricultural modernization programs in its history. Through our Feed Ghana program, we're investing in mechanization, irrigation, improved seeds, livestock development, and agro-processing. We're establishing farmers' service centers across the country to provide machinery, technical support, and modern farming services to Ghana's farmers. Indeed, the ongoing procurement of agricultural machinery from Belarus for these centers is a practical example of how our partnership is already yielding tangible results. As I speak today, Ghana has placed an order for 1,840 pieces of agricultural equipment from Belarus.
The voice of President John Dramani Mahama there. Now, the Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs says it will begin a nationwide assessment of how sanitation funds released to various metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies have been utilized over the past year. The move comes as waste management challenges persist across the country. Ahmed Ibrahim is Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs.
So my brothers from the MMDAs, please, people come to me. They want to form new waste companies to make money. I'm not there to make money. I'm there to do the work to make sure my jurisdictional area is clean. We are not in to make money. And from tomorrow, we'll be moving from district to district. 1 year after, now you have been paid. The former MMDCs, they have also been paid. So now I'm free, I can move. If I come to you, what you have done, you account. On sanitation, you tell us. What projects you have done. The one President Mama is doing is a regional engagement. The district one, we will do it. Your GPS location of the project you have done, you will tell us. The amount you have spent, you will tell us. That's why we give you all the money. There should be a broad agreement on immediate measures address current landfill and disposal challenges, practical options for financing, and institutional support. All these should be identified. Stakeholder responsibilities should be clearly defined. A coordinated roadmap for infrastructure development should begin to take place, and if we are to go in a proportional way.
And that's the voice of Ahmed Ibrahim, Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Away from that, the East Municipal Assembly says it is poised to undertake massive demolition work on buildings sited on waterways. The assurance was given when the East Municipal Chief Executive and MP for Dom Kwabenya took a tour of some communities affected by flood waters.
Days of torrential rains have disrupted activities and livelihoods in many communities within the Ghana East Municipal Assembly. Accompanied by a team of inspectors from NADMO, the MCE and MP for the area visited 3 out of 10 electoral areas to take inventory of the damages. Communities including Pantine, Abokobi, Agbogba, Nyamikrum, Temban and surrounding areas, which historically never experienced flooding, are now suffering severe floods after heavy rainfall. Residents demanded action from the assembly.
This is the main gutter, but the water doesn't pass through this gutter again. Now it passes through houses and it's pouring things. Now people are homeless here, okay, especially me. It has entered our house. We don't even have a place to sleep.
The kiosks were there, so the crop, and a binumakofa a sablator, and no mandalatin, when they say, baby, I'm a tickram yard, Yana. We never been to that. Intimacy was a mobile require and buffer, so a mobile one. They say, Master, my mobile.
The team inspected dredging being undertaken in the Obedu and Dakobi rivers after developers filled the river. The MC, Edmund Agbo, said they've identified buildings sited on waters which will be pulled down.
In every rain, there's flooding. But what we experienced recently is unthinkable. So we want to be proactive, and that is why we want to take inventory of the causes and then mark them appropriately, get back to the drawing table, and then at least all those structures that are down, waterways, will be pulled down.
At Oda Shawman, the team identified that developers have constructed close to the buffers, exposing the main bridge to danger. MP for Dom Kwabenya, Elikuna Krugu, blamed the situation on indiscipline.
You see videos of people building in waterways. You see videos of buildings right in the middle of drainage where there's supposed to be a free flow. Until we prioritize resilient measures or systems, will still be where we are.
That was a report by George Quaining there. Now, the Accra Mayor, Michael Kpako Alote, has defended the delay in repairing the Kaneshi pedestrian footbridge after missing an earlier 1-month completion deadline. The mayor says the full extent of the damage only became apparent after work was about commencing, adding that the ongoing garage project is expected to affect the entire structure during the rehabilitation process. The bridge was closed to pedestrian traffic in April, with authorities initially projecting that repairs would be completed within a month. Here's what the mayor had to say.
Kaneshi footbridge has been there for over a decade. The place is rusted. We all saw danger coming. We want to wait till something happens before we come in. I'm not that type of person. I like to take action. I went in there to make sure we change the bridge. But we are doing the garage project. And the garage project is going to pass through where the bridge is. So if I go in and do the bridge, garage will still clear the bridge from there. So I'm a part of garage. We went to Koforidua last, I was in Koforidua when the Accra issue happened. I drove but down. So we are on it working to make sure garage will do the work fast for me to continue the bridge.
Were you not privy to the garage project before you went to close it down?
I knew the garage project was coming on, but I thought the garage project was getting there earlier before we commenced work. But I realized the garage project delayed a bit, so we cannot work without their project because I was thinking they will pass before I do my project. I don't want to lose any life. With him, like in my palm, like say, Mayor cost this for this to happen. I've seen the danger coming. Why, as a leader, I'll wait for something to happen before I go in? It's wrong. I beg them. They should just be patient. We'll fix the bridge for everybody to still pass there. But for now, they should watch the policemen and the AMA people. When they stop them, they stop. When it's time for them to pass, then they pass.
That's the voice of Michael Kpako Alote, his mayor of Accra, ending the midday news on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby, and thank you so much for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Government of Ghana pivots towards economic self-reliance, supply crude to local refineries.
We're also working with some of our partners and all the other stakeholders to ensure that we do not just support Central, every other refinery in this country, so that we can add value to our whole product.
Meanwhile, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, advocates for consistent domestic crude supply to guarantee national energy security.
Indeed, we have a hold of whatever fuel we need as a country. So the first thing I would say is the supply security.
Plus, restructured bonds and treasury bills drive over 3 billion cedis turnover on Ghana fixed income market. I am Michael Lobodu. Details of these and many other stories lined up for you. Do stay tuned. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story now. In a major step towards strengthening local value addition and bolstering national energy security, Ghana has officially commenced the delivery of domestic crude oil to local refineries. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Jinapo, confirmed that local refining capacity apart from Central Oil Refinery and Tema Oil Refinery will be supplied with local crude oil to refine. This comes off the back of first Jubilee crude delivery to Central Refinery, signaling Ghana's push to retain more value.
Not only are we delivering crude oil to Central, Tema Oil Refinery, which was put up for sale, has taken delivery of 1 million barrels of crude oil to process as well. Let me appeal to the Jubilee partners. This is just the first one. We are waiting for round 2, round 3, round 4, and all the rounds forever. It shouldn't be a one-day activity. We are also working with some of our partners and all the other stakeholders to ensure that we do not just support Central, but every other refinery in this country, so that we can add value to our whole product. It represents a deliberate national policy decision to deepen local value addition, strengthen energy security, promote industrialization, and retain a greater share of the benefits derived from Ghana's petroleum resources within our economy.
You heard there Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapo. He is the Minister of Energy and Green Transition. In a related development, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, Dr. Rivasing Opong, has underscored that job security within Ghana's petroleum sector is directly linked to the stability of the nation's fuel supply. He noted that a resilient energy network is dependent on a consistent and reliable domestic fuel base. Dr. Opong argued that erratic or one-off allocations are insufficient to stabilize the market. Instead, the country requires an uninterrupted flow of domestic crude oil to its local refineries.
For me, aside the job security, it's about the fuel supply security. And we cannot talk about this without mentioning the fact that, indeed, we have a hold of whatever fuel we need as a country. So the first thing I would say is the supply security. So whatever weeks it can take, whatever percentage month on month, the last time I checked for last year, local support for refinery product was around 35 to 40%. So that means that consistent supply of crude oil to our local refineries or even natural gas to our Toabo would warrant us having enough supply security or base to do whatever we want to do.
So that was Dr. Rivasing Opong. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. Let's bring you more stories now. The Ghana fixed income market opened the week with an active total turnover of 3.3 billion cedis across 306 trades on Monday, June 8, 2026. Trading was heavily dominated by domestic debt exchange program (DDEP) restructured bonds, which accounted for approximately 58.5% of the total market activity by recording 1.95 billion cedis across 79 trades. Short-term treasury bills followed closely with 1.2 billion cedis in turnover, representing 36.5%, highlighting a dual investor strategy focus on selective medium-term yields and short-end liquidity. In contrast, sell buyback transactions brought in 166.29 million cedis, while corporate bonds activity remained thin at just 2.06 million cedis, reinforcing the overall dominance of government-backed instruments on the curve. Now, moving on to some more stories, and the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals is warning that weak enforcement of building and safety regulations could have significant economic and social consequences following the recent building collapse in Accra's North Industrial Area and reoccurring floods across the capital. This report has the details. The Institute says the incidents highlight the growing cost of inadequate risk management, poor compliance with engineering standards, and gaps in urban planning. Its comments follow the collapse of a building under construction at the North Industrial Area, which claimed lives and left several others injured. In a statement, President of the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, Engineer Dr. Miriam Edufo, said the tragedy should serve as a wake-up call for industry players and regulators to strengthen oversight across the construction sector. According to the Institute, failure in safety management and engineering compliance not only put lives at risk, but also expose businesses to operational disruptions, legal liabilities, project delays, and reputational damage. The Institute is therefore calling for comprehensive safety audits across construction sites and industrial facilities. Alongside stricter enforcement of national building codes and occupational safety regulations. It is also advocating greater investment in flood resilience management, including improved drainage systems, better land use planning, and enhanced community preparedness. The Institute believes strengthening compliance and professional oversight will help reduce avoidable losses, protect investments, and improve confidence in Ghana's built environment. Let's bring you more stories now. In the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Seaboard says motorists should not expect an immediate reduction in fuel prices despite the delivery of around 1 million barrels of crude oil to Central Oil Refinery. The shipment forms part of government's efforts to boost local refining capacity and reduce Ghana's dependence on imported petroleum products. The move has fueled expectations that increased domestic production could translate into lower prices at the pumps. However, speaking on Business Focus on TV3, Chief Executive Officer of Seaboard, Dr. Patrick Ofori, said Ghana still relies heavily on imported fuel products to meet domestic demand, limiting the impact local refining can have on pump prices in the near term.
Most of them mature in 3 months' time. So you could see that in the last few months or so, the demand for dollar has gone up, basically because when the prices doubled from March onwards coming, these are the times that all those products that we consume have matured and we were in search of dollars to procure in order to settle those debts. So in the immediate impact, it's not going to change anything. And then also you check the demand mix or the supply mix, about 70 to 80% of the products are imported. So that necessarily also give us the opportunity to have access to cash flow to be able to also take the domestically produced one from Centio to ensure that Centio can also settle those contracts, even if it's for on a monthly or 45 days.
So that was the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Dr. Patrick Ofori, bringing an end to today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe.